You finish dinner, push the plate away, and tell yourself you're done. Your stomach is not empty. You are not sitting there in obvious hunger. But less than an hour later, you are back in the kitchen, opening a box, tearing a wrapper, grabbing chips, or standing over the counter eating something sweet, with the strange feeling that your body has started a second meal without asking your permission.
The strangest part isn't just the attraction to food. It's that this feeling often emerges before you can pinpoint what's really happening. Hunger or something much deeper.
That moment is small when it happens once. It stops feeling small when it becomes familiar. Because after a while, the pattern starts arriving before the thought does. You reach first, you explain it later. And the explanation most people use is brutally simple.
I have no willpower around food. Maybe that is the line you use on yourself. Maybe you say you are too stressed. Maybe you say you are emotional.
Maybe you say you just love sugar too much. Maybe you promise yourself stricter rules on Monday and then find yourself making the same deal again by Wednesday night. That story feels believable because it sounds personal. It sounds honest. It sounds like accountability. But it can also hide the real mechanism, because there is a difference between being hungry and being pulled. There is a difference between enjoying food and being trained by it. And there is a difference between a meal that closes appetite and a food pattern that keeps reopening it. That is where ultra-processed food changes the picture. These foods are often designed to be extremely easy to eat, extremely rewarding early, and unusually hard to feel finished with. The sweetness is concentrated, the salt lands fast. The fat smooths everything out. The crunch is precise. The texture requires almost no work. The flavor arrives before your body has had time to organize a response. So the experience becomes powerful on the front end, while the fullness signal lags behind it. That matters more than most people realize, because the brain is always learning from experience. If a product keeps delivering a strong reward signal before the body delivers clear completion, the lesson is not just this tastes good. The lesson becomes this is worth repeating. And once that lesson is repeated enough times, the craving often begins before the first bite. It begins when you sit in the same chair at the same hour. It begins when you drive past the same place. It begins when stress rises. It begins when boredom opens a little space in the evening. It begins when your phone lights up with an image of food. It begins when the body expects relief before it expects nourishment. That is why some people are not just eating food, they are entering a rehearsed event. The central problem is not that the food tastes too good. The central problem is that it can create reward faster than the body can create reliable satiety. In a healthier eating rhythm, hunger rises, eating begins, and a set of signals gradually closes the loop. The stomach stretches, the pace slows, hormones and nerves start updating the brain. The meal feels more complete as it continues. Eventually, appetite falls off. There is a natural endpoint. Ultra-processed food can weaken that sequence in a very specific way. It is often soft, fast, dense, and frictionless. You can consume a lot before chewing, time, and fullness have a chance to do their normal job. The food creates a strong sensory event immediately, but the closing signals do not arrive with the same force. So the person feels stimulated around food without feeling fully settled by it. That is why some meals leave you calm and others leave you mentally awake around more food. It is also why people say things like, "I was full, but I still wanted something." That sentence sounds irrational until you understand the mismatch of fullness and satisfaction are not always the same thing. A person can have enough energy on board and still feel unfinished if the food pattern trained the brain to keep seeking. Then the environment joins the process and makes it worse. Apps remove delay, packaging removes effort, advertising creates anticipation, convenience removes natural. Certain hours become triggers. Stress becomes a trigger. Fatigue becomes a trigger. Even celebration becomes a trigger. The person thinks they are making dozens of separate choices, but the loop is often running along the same tracks every day. And once that predictive loop is strong enough, real hunger does not have to lead anymore. Expectation can lead, cue can lead, emotion can lead, routine can lead. So when people say, "Once I start, I can't stop," they are not always describing gluttony. Sometimes they are describing a system in which pursuit has been trained harder than completion. That is why normal food can start feeling dull by comparison. It is not always because the person no longer cares about health. It is because repeated high-intensity reward can flatten the appeal of quieter food. Real food asks more. It asks for chewing. It asks for patience. It asks for slower reward. It asks the body to feel rather than chase, and a brain that has been rehearsing fast relief does not always like that transition. The loop starts as preference, then it becomes habit, then it starts organizing the day. At that point, the symptom is no longer just craving. Now the person starts noticing that certain afternoons feel impossible without sugar. Evenings feel emotionally louder around snacks.
Fast food stops feeling like a treat and starts feeling like a reset button. Portions get bigger without much satisfaction.
A meal becomes a gateway to dessert instead of a stopping point. Mood gets shorter, energy gets less stable, sleep can get rougher, hunger shows up at strange times. The body feels fed and unsettled at the same time. Then the consequences move further out. Weight often starts climbing, especially because the loop is repetitive, not dramatic. Blood sugar becomes harder to manage. The person gets sleepy after meals, then hungry again too soon. The waistline changes.
And sometimes it cuts deeper than the physical one. They stop trusting themselves. They start saying,
"I'm just bad around food. I can't keep anything under control. This is what I do." That identity shift is dangerous because once the person believes the problem lives in character, every craving becomes proof. They stop investigating, they start confessing, and that keeps the real pattern invisible. The truth is harsher and more useful than that. Many people are trying to solve an engineered loop with self-criticism. They are fighting a cue-saturated environment, highly rewarding food, fatigue, convenience, and repetition, then calling the result a personality defect. That is why the shame usually grows faster than the solution, and if that pattern stays in place long enough, the body does not just eat differently, it starts living differently. So here is the reframe. What looks like weak willpower is often a body being trained to chase reward more often than it experiences true completion. That changes the whole interpretation, because if the problem is only moral, your only tool is guilt. If the problem is a learned loop, your first tool is pattern recognition. That means the next move is not punishment. It is observation sharp enough to expose where the loop is entering. For the next 7 days, every time the pull towards sweets, soda, chips, or fast food shows up, write down 4 things. Write the time and what triggered it. Write what you ate before it. Write whether the urge came on gradually or hit fast. Then write what happened 20 to 40 minutes after you ate. Calm and done, or still open, sleepy, foggy, restless, or wanting more. At the end of the week, look for repeats. The same hour, the same emotional state, the same kind of meal before the craving, the same aftermath. That is the pattern. That is where the real work begins. There are also red flags that deserve more than self-tracking. Cravings tied to repeated binge episodes, fast weight gain, strong sleepiness after eating, rising blood sugar, or the feeling that food has become your main way to regulate stress are worth taking seriously with a qualified clinician. But even before that point, this 1-week test changes something important. It moves you from shame to data. It shows you whether the problem is random or rehearsed. And once you can see the loop clearly, you can finally stop arguing with yourself in the dark. What feels like a failure of character is often a food environment teaching the body to want more before it has finished processing the last hit. If those same foods also leave you sleepy, shaky, foggy, or hungry again too fast, the next thing to investigate is what your blood sugar may be doing underneath the craving.
If you find yourself craving sweets, snacks, or fast food even after a meal, it doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with you. Often, the issue isn't about willpower. It's that our modern food environment can trigger cravings before your body has had time to feel satisfied. Recognizing this can help you stop battling your cravings and start understanding the root of the problem. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share your thoughts in the comments.